It's always changes, right? This is what you realize that the Lakers are one of the biggest underdogs to start the playoffs. They have a huge disadvantage at the end of the season. And let me explain why I say it's the advantage. No Luka Doncic, no Austin Reeves. If a 41-year-old LeBron James in the hands of Marshall, Kevin Durant, comes out and pulls off this victory and comes out victorious in this series, I don't want to hear a damn thing anymore about the GOAT conversation. The GOAT conversation will be officially over. I don't want to hear from Stephen A. I don't want to hear from my brother Mike Wilborn. I don't want to hear none of that. But for 41-year-old LeBron James comes out and leads this Lakers team to the first round victory, being a heavy underdog, I don't want to hear anything about the GOAT conversation. But as the roster, when you look at the roster that he has, taking away the years, we're talking about players, Smart, here's the right sitting in the head to head of Kevin Durant. We got LeBron James has first of all, LeBron is the only longevity. I'll give him that. Nobody has been this great for this long in the history of professional sports, as far as I'm concerned. LeBron James is the only no doubt about it. But LeBron is his best against MJ at his best to stop him. We ain't even having that discussion. You know, being first round series going to beat that now. It ain't going to happen. Try it on. And by the way, watch him out. Put back on this screen. This is what I'm talking to him right now. Tell him something. Watch him out. How they want to don't talk to you, don't fucking point up me. That's what they want to sit up and see you. What you need to great Michael LeBron from blasphemy just came out of your mouth. You watch your mouth when it comes to God, Michael LeBron. You will mind your manners, you will behave yourself, and you will keep in mind that no matter who we are, we don't measure up to the great Michael LeBron, even though I don't like how he goes now. That's a different subject for another day. The point that I'm making is this, okay? In the end, when it comes down to it, it's Kevin Durant. Oh, there's no question when you talk about the pressure and who it's on right now and who stands to lose a game. It's Kevin Durant. Y'all know that Kevin Durant is what we're talking about. As far as I'm concerned, it's time to talk about two-time champions, two-time when both of those lines, both of those entities, don't know it's the same Kevin Durant is 7-17 in his last 12 celebrations. 7-17. Now, we're not going to blame him, in terms of his individual excellence in that span of 4 games. The brother averaged 29.9 points per 7 season, 34% of the lower 8.5 rebounds and 5 points. Brother doing his thing. But the point that I'm making is 7-17 over the last 3 games. What has he done since he was? What has he done? It's been years since Kevin Durant has been relevant in the postseason. A matter of fact, the only time he got out of the first round was when Kawhi Leonard got hurt. Heck, Kawhi Leonard not got hurt. When he was in Phoenix, they probably lost that series, okay? So let's keep that in mind. When you think about the greatness of Kevin Durant, you got to remember something. He should be in the conversation along with the all-time greats. We don't mention him enough. We don't mention his greatness enough. We don't solidify the greatness that's there. We just talk about it like it's past 6 months and walk the fuck. He's automatic. He's special. But 7-17 realize when you play games, it's not a good thing. Not when you play series, it's not a good thing. Not getting anywhere near this equation over the last 7 years, it's not a good thing. The Suns are better after shooting them out of the city this past whole season. Think about that for a second. So when you're going up against LeBron, you know what? It's not so much about beating him. It's that you're not the way you're supposed to be. Keep that discipline.
Revelio.
Because the Dodgers and Orphans are more if Kevin Durant loses this series, very good.
Bombarda.
I will say something. I said, get ready. Top 10, not top 10. You don't have time to go down the mix and go top 10. But I know you ain't putting them in front of Kobe. You're not putting them in front of Magic. You're not putting them in front of Bird. You're not putting them in front of Jose. You're not putting them in front of Braun. You're not putting them in front of Rick. You're not putting them in front of Bill. Bill Russell. You are not even doing. Here's the thing, right? I am putting them in front of Will.
Bombarda.
And by the way, we can have a conversation about Larry Bird.
Rebellion.
What is it that Kevin Durant, what is it that Larry Bird can do that Kevin Durant can't? Tell me that.
Could the Phoenix be in there?
I stutter.
Incendio.
Larry Bird, what team did that? Larry Bird have Parrish and McHale and Age and Dennis Johnson. And what did Larry Bird carry? What are you talking about?
Incendio. Bombarda.
Okay, so what I'm telling you is this, all I'm saying is he's not going to do it. But let's keep it real. You just pointed out something. You just highlighted something. What has Kevin Durant done? Was in any situations he's never done Golden State. Right? Steph Curry went on to perform and can't do that. That's why Steph Curry, I feel like he's more talented.
Incendio. Bombarda. Could the Phoenix be in there? Rebellion. Incendio. Bombarda. Incendio.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. You're absolutely right. But the flip side is to keep up with without ended in a disaster. Kevin Durant arrived 6 out of 30 years because he killed his team. Going back to Brooklyn, and if the brother had a half-foot size rep, you know what? He'd have gotten to the front. This without Kyrie.
Rebellion.
This is when James Harden, you saw that performance by King. He was sensational. They know the same about it. And that was a game 7. I understand it. What I'm saying is he has time to serve it. They win the championship. They beat Phoenix. They beat Phoenix and they can pass that city. That was not the champion. He carried that team on his back. And oh, by the way, statistically,
No. Imperio.
See how much this thing brings us. Our what?
Bombarda.
Incendio!
Rebellion. Bombarda.
We're keeping people safe.
Imperial.
Not the brightest.
Bombarda.
I won't go down as easy. Reduct!
Time to get my claws out.
Here's 10 points. Would you like me to put you down?
Bombarda.
Inside the bacon. When I say bacon, I'm
Bombarda.
One of my own lives the television.
Careful not to get bit.
Imperial. Bombarda.
just enough fat to make it so good. So we smoke for that honey flavored sweetness that we all love. Plus, there's many different options to level up your meal and enjoy beautiful bacon goodness. Breakfast, lunch, or even dinner, I'm pretty serious about my bacon any time of the day. And I get that perfect sweet, salty, crisp bite that we all love from beautiful bacon. All right, wait, Kirk, I want to bring it back to the actual question that it started with.
The Phoenix.
More of the line here. And when I hear you talk about Grin, you say, not getting out of this first round. Remember, the Rockets are not getting out of the first round in 2020 when they beat.
It almost seems as if it wants me to follow it. I need to find it before the poachers do.
You're gonna regret. I hope you have your affairs.
There it is again. Revelio. Revelio. Incendio.
Kino, sa may talikod, tinawag yung ito.
Revelio.
Bukong yun na nito, nagpumalan, ano ba talaga? Bebe ka? Una, uminig yung ulo ko. Baka, pero, ito, how?
Incendio.
Ganun pa na pinipita ng tayo.
Bombarda.
Parang kami paturo lang yelo. Kaya namang mandaran yun. Si Apex palang yata. Ganun sila buwangat.
Bombarda. Incendio.
Madali niya gawin. Wala niya yata. Maganda pakinggan.
Shame you're so foul.
Parang tinutukan sa tenga. Malapitan gamit ng pakinggan. Ganun lang. Tapos silid na ulit ang mga nilisis kung malupit na balakan. Hindi mo kailangan tuloy yung adrenaline. Mag-play ka na naman. Lalagyan niya ng natin. Yung jabong. Parang nagkabot. Kung kira kanina umaga, nilagyan ko ng 10 yung tahon. Hindi naman natahon. Huwag kami na lang. Hindi naman magkakot ng kasi nga iyan lang. Iyan lang. Kung kaya ni Mami. Kasi nga iyan lang. Kung kaya ni Mami.
That was for highway. The beast is safe now.
Lahat na lang win-workplay, yun lang kasi yung kaya niyang gawin. Yun lang kasi yung kaya mong gawin. Kung sa kaya niya kontrolin yung facial expression niyo, talentong namasang niya na, kanina lang mo yung mga bol, masaya ka ba, na-content ka lang, privado na siya.
Revelio.
Privado siya, makinig ka, itong payo, nalit sa akin.
Bombarda.
Kapag kapag nabahala siya ng bar, o kapag nabahala
Revelio.
ito na nila kung paano sila nakakasal, kung paano ka nag-birthday, kung paano ka nagtatanghal, hindi niya parang unang ligaw ng presyo sa pinagkalipag. Sino-sino na pwede nila sa Facebook? Kapag hindi ba kung paano siya mag-comment ang promotion ng comment section? Ito, baka di ka pa nakasubscribe. Subscribe ka na sa akin. Parang kita ako. Subscribe ka na sa akin ang kita. Pakipalo yung ano. Alam mo ba, yung katangahan sa drama, hindi na dapat yung pinapakabot sa Facebook. Alam mo yung plural? Yung paboritong design sa mga polo ng seryo, gato. Alam mo, dito sa Uniscops. Tapos na yun, yung kabubulukin mo sa pagpwesto ng case, pinakadap na lang mga rising stars yung sa Bulacan, hindi ka ba nagpapay. Subscribe na kayo sa akin ang naging masihan sa pagpili ng gagamitin with credit sa mga naging habits. Alam mo yung problem ng mga itutulong sa mga batang malunos? Pag pumusap mo ng pwes, isa kumuha ka ng pwes, ibuhos mo ang pwes, at magbubuha yung success. Turuan mo ng pwes, turuan mo mag-pwes. Kaya na kasi pambalang kaya sa mga ulit-tirati at critical sa liga, kaya ang buod, maling-mali, na madaling salita, pang-limaga, kaya ang tulong, ating-hati, ang mundo ang umay, na sobrang basic, ng yung tulong,
It seems happy to come with me. I wonder if it could travel in the mountain.
Ating-mali, yo, pag sasampung taon ka na sa liga, may nagkababisikat, hayop na, kanilang to, walang kadala-dala. Taga-Bulacan, patuloy niyang nakatira sa kapital ng panubahan ng pamutok, pero yung pagtutok ay nagmumagagawa, kailangan ko ng answer, aba. O lumakit sa Philippines na yung kailangan, sa tulad mong bobo na nakerta nga. Kasi ito, o lumagpanyas ka na, Ilang Kensi pa ba yung kailangan kung sa'yo
Let's
bago
get you back to
bumalik?
the room.
Kung bakit gusto
Dick's
mo
going to be
yung
pleased.
pangalan ng karir o kung kakalo ka mo. Hindi dapat siling ang pangalan mo, Praning. Yan ay malabong masunod. Dapat sipon kasi kailangan ka tulad itanim bago pinto. Kaya malabo itong makaligtas mula sa aking vitamin C. Nakapeda kung may vitamin na magkamon. Sige, pakitaan mo ako, sinatan mo ako. Kaya ang sabi ng pagkatalo sa akin, hindi ako ako isa ng hapon. Ako sa talagpasan ko yung bagyo. Alam ko na naman yung taon, kaya yung vitamin, dahil sila mo, sanay ako sa makulimlim ng panahon. Kaya sige, nagdagan. Okay. Pero bago ito pakulanin sa puntok, makinig ka muna, Lexi. Kasi hindi ko ay ilan. Natalo sa kumparin si Pamoso. Natalo sa Kailan, ang Initerti. Laglag sa semis ng Dos Porto. Natalo kay Siray. Natalo kay Toto.
Bombarda.
Natalo na pangalapin sa Makinsya ko. Kaya pinanakit ni Angie na kailangan ko mag-ilabas yung pitong salot bago atinginin mo ako itong Red Sea. Kaya kahit matag na rin sa magkakit at yaring wasak, ako'y sabit at balik at sa pagkakit.
Places! Incendio! Incendio! Places! Crucible! Revelio. Incendio. Revelio.
Bombarda. Also.
Kasi nagulat mo kung pinila mo ang tagal mo ba? Muna, baka mo lang mabilida. Kaso, madali lang na po. Yung pag-ingin matanan. Nakakitayo mo nito yung pangin nito. Magiging matanan. Magiging matanan.
Revelio.
Kaya ikutin niya rin usapan. Usapan niya dito, ito na gusto. Sabaw, siya, luwag, panalo, luwag,
Bombarda.
Bago po ako, Kako, kung kulang ka sa akin sa laban sa iyo, benepisyo, mga laipotan ulit. Laban sa hindi kasiling veterano. Ito rin ako, maswerte, pag hindi, kumapete.
Confringo.
Pinato mo na yung pulo. Ito ka na yung buwan.
Incendio.
Confringo. Bombarda.
Incendio.
Expelliarmus. Confringo.
Yo! Grabe na! Tama na siguro yung namin na nagkaroon yung pagiging mabahit ng karepan. O nagkakaray na mas yung sinasabi ng
Revelio.
O dumaskas na masyado. Paulit-ulit. Wala eh. Talagang kalapitan ng tema. Tangina, pagpunta pa naman natin yung luga mo, pinay kahit masakit na dati. At laging kalma ay hindi na yung pinoproblema ng presidente kahit na laging handa. Sinukapansanan niya rin po yung laging kalma.
Imperial!
Come here, right. I heard something.
Bombarder!
I'm going to regret. What gave you the right to free that dragon from Horndale Hall? It isn't,
Revelio! Depulso! Arresto momentum! Depulso! Depulso! Arresto momentum! Depulso! Arresto momentum!
Yung sige malamang. Okay, dyan C9. O kaya magpaka yung
Rebellion.
Dyan C9. Kasi bakit C9? 9, siyam na buhay. At si Pepe-Redding ko lang. Ipitin na po sa ng timbre para kasi bawasan natin yung isa kung talagang tunay yung kasako. Ngayong abente, gawin niyang sinamat. Puro sa 50 banda. Puro mga 100 times. Siguradong puro breaststroke na naabuti na itong freestyler. Magaling ako sa butterfly. Magaling na mag-freestyle. Oo.
Wingardium Leviosa!
Freestyle, oo. Magaling ka mag-freestyle, oo. Ano mo, kalat. Magaling ka mag-freestyle. Lagado man ang parang ganun ka. Kaya nga ano, pero saan sinun? Nakalit ka na
Wingardium Leviosa!
dahil ito ay delikado, tuloy kong nawawalan, nagkakalat, nagkakalat na tatanggal pa ako. Oo, kanapos nakapag-nuwebe pa ako. Yo, talagang sinerte ka ako. Kasi yung araw na nakapag-ibig niya.
Revelio.
Kapwa-hustler, magsusumahin. Kapwa-hustler, magsusumahin. Solid pa naman sa whole systemic ng mga MC, talaga kahit upot, pagbububahin. Official kita nila mga magkita ulit tayo next year, ito natin. Ulitin natin yun ulit sa araw, na naman tayo magpupusan sa parking. Kami na mo. Ano ba ako ng kami ng sinay? Lahat tayo may karapatang pumili ng estilo gagamitin ng inspire. Kaya I don't see why they keep telling on this guy. See why na nag-realize sa whole thing. Naminsay.
Wingardium Leviosa! Bombarder!
See why?
Wingardium Leviosa!
Yeah. Yo, yo! No, yo! At ako hindi ko gagawin yan. Pangawas niya sa akin yun. Nagpakabasa. Patay ka sa akin. Kahit peace na kita ngayon. Gago na ano ka. Umuwi ka na sa ligdib. Ang ina mo, meron akong sarili taga-province sa ligdib.
Rude.
Did you find the phoenix? Yes, Deke. And I rescued it from the poachers. I have it here. It's safe.
Remarkable! Well, what are you waiting for? Deke cannot wait to...
Ang buhay na singaw. Kapag resort ka, binibilag ka sa umaga. Pinabaliktad ka sa tanghali. Pinabaliktad ka sa hapon. Ang problema lang, hindi ka nakakilala pa rin. Kahit kapag sa'yo pa kayo pagyabaw. kumain kami kanina, pluta. Mukhang di ka kakilala ng pluta. Nakahilip ka ba? Puro mo? So, tupumit mo sa ilay. Para saan yan? Para nagilid yung kita? Ano yan? Scan?
What a beauty.
Happy birthday sa'yo ngayon, happy birthday. Pero ang mas maganda nun, next year, kamamatayan mo na. Joke rin, di ba?
You
Bakit
keep it
nalaman
close.
natin? Pero wag ka ng bagal na nga, share ko pa rin to. Pero hindi naman ko pwede hindi mo titirahin yung kulay mo. A is for beauty, pero kung kayo magagalit. A is for
Professor Weasley and Deke were right to tell you about the Room of Requirement. Look at all you've done, and how many beasts you've rescued. A phoenix is safe now, because of you.
I couldn't have done it without your help, Deke. Thank you.
Deke is grateful for the kind words, and also grateful to have been of assistance to someone like yourself. Helping you do such good for so many beasts has given Deke a sense of peace Deke hasn't known in years. Deke will always be here for you when you need him.
Ikaw mo ang tayo-tayo sa nakita ka, isa ako nagtitinda tayo ng pagkain, hindi mo isipin. Parang hindi na pwede yung sisip ko, nagkakam ng buling sa frozen. Ano yung lulutuin pa? Kung nagutom yung mga tao ron, walang ano, kung sa mga pagkain, bibigyan mo ng matigas. Kung tayo sa akin, sisiluto na. Nakatotoo yung friend. Sarap na sarap doon si Apex.
This will be more useful when I have something to identify. I'd like to ask you about changing the room's ambience.
Of course. What sort of overall look most appeals to you?
Actually, perhaps another time.
Para sa akin lang. Kailan ko wala. Wala akong alam. Welcome back to the channel. Balik na naman tayo sa mga grandfathers dahil marami nag-request. Ang pinaka-una na aking review, syempre marami nag-request ko. At hindi ko rin nakabusan dahil tulungan pa ako ng pinalabas ko. Ito yung finals na isa sa 2019. Six first effects. Simulan na natin.
Everything's all right now.
Six, eight, siguro na address. Six, straight, putang ina. Ano nangyari sa mga? Bumalik ba? Bumalik na? Alis mo, putagis ka! Husky? Asel? Jiga? Six, straight, parang imposible na mission. Ano to, isang buhay 2,000 na hindi yung probinsyano edition. Tunay na pangalan niya, Lubert. Lubert Boy. Stupid boy. Dahil kay Sam, gusto niya na yung Tumper Boy. Pinapausukan at tinuturuan. Hindi siya ginugulangan, pero ginugulungan. Sa lupit ng construct lang, kinikilabutan, manang-manang kay Sam. Magaling sa pwestuhan. Pinangin ang referent Lubert Boy, may talento. Teacher's pet, pati ni-interpret, spoiled sa maestro. Clover, hindi pa binilita mo yan. Very blue. Munok niyo, ayok sa hairdo. Kailangan mo na tayo kaya sa mutabi. Hindi mo lang thank you. Mananalo to sa akin? Says who? Paano ito mananalo? Eh, yung mata nito mag-elyo. Tapos yung dito sa ilong niya nag-elyo. Di ko malaman kung polar opposite. Opposite. Siguro manikato ng Diyos pinintot na hindi ang autopic. May tulog ako kay Sixter. Oo, sa sobrang boring, ano yung stupid? Ang gitche. Sobrang witty. Parang witty. Sobrang cheesy. Parang witty. Yung kanya dito, tumupogi lang to pag yung picture may tumula. Nakikinig sa akin ng biscuit. Yung hindi natin, tumupogi lang to pag yung picture may tumula. Nakikinig sa akin ng biscuit. May hindi Clover at pinag-K, thanks pa. Yung bakit yung express na sa kanya, pero yung ito may champion yun. Matitiyak mo yung words. Music video, kami yung album ko. Ito matitiyak lang kita sa photo album ko. Sabi sa kanilang dahil sa holding area. Okay, 3 songs magaya pa. Sabi ni Sixter sa organizer, sir, pwede ba 3 rounds ang kabela? Sabi ng pinag-setan, anong bago sa dinisenyo? Dinisenyo? Bakit dinisenyo? Eh kung may sila mo na napayayang masabi mo ng diretso. Sister, medyo makakita. Kung ano yung pagkakinsan, yung delivery ng sister. Bakit isin nyo? Eh, kung isin mo na lang kaya yan, masabi mo ng diretso. Ano yun? Yung grabe? Pwede kong gawin crazy? Potential effects ng pag-looking kasi pati yung facial expression na kasi sa kanila. Then yun naman, nakita agad yung text yung photo niya doon, yung OMD. Nag-delivery niya, sobrang crispy. Kompleto lahat ng hand gestures at facial expression. So, kung marami around the express na parang
Revelio.
bago naman kailangan nyo manalo muna ng tatlong sila. Ang galing ng pagkakasulat sa sister at tapos sa tatlong dos, check it dito. Kaya, ang ginagawa.
Revelio.
Wonder if Ranrock and his crew are in there.
Revelio.
No sign of Lodgok out here. Must be inside already. Look at the size of this mine.
Something seems wrong.
This place is teeming with Ranrock's loyalists. I have to keep my wits about me.
How nice of you to stop by. Think you're clever, don't you?
Petrificus totalis.
Crucible. This cart ought to get me deeper into the mine. Just like Gringotts, but I'm in the driver's seat this time.
Something seems
How
wrong.
deep will this take
Red
me?
Rogue's gonna be pleased with our progress. Who was on that car?
That has to be the end up ahead.
Revelio.
Pero para tawagin ang style na fan, ang sobrang hangin mo naman, pero di mo aanay na to. Pag kang masyado mahangin dyan, Lennon, tandaan mo isang pan lang din ang papatay sa'yo. Pag sinat ni Bono 100 times, yung reply niya 100K. Saktong malaki, katong ulo, ngayon ay bigay yung 100K. Wala kay Max, apat na sunod kong palalo. Ginampas na 49. May pala pa akong tirador, inagagdag pa to tulay. Apat na patay, oo, apat na po, apat gets agad yung punto right. Na dumagdag ka
Revelio.
sa o na magtapos sa 45.
Incendio.
I wonder where these pipes go.
Revelio.
Depulso.
Accio. Revelio.
Sus, pinigido, infeksyon, kayong seryoso ang banta. Alam mo, di kita aabutan. Sa tournament na to, aba, kulang yung tansya mo, please. Inyo o kulang pa yata, nag-miss, kulang ang kulang, masibuka, kaya panis. Para sabay natin tingnan na pag-abot ng araw. Ngayong inabutan ka na ng Swiss.
Imperial.
Kill spells glance off of me.
They're not quite. Easily diverted.
Bombarda.
Pity.
You keep coming. Revelio.
Ano pinag-enter yan? Pero effective pa siya ng internet ba, ng mga track, mga radio text, mga text, pero lang tungkol dun sa mga sinabi niya. Magandang strategy lang dahil yung nasira yung game plan, yung Apex sa second round niya, dahil usually Apex nag-repad siya sa mga beginning news ng mga rounds niya. So, magandang game plan yung 6th round. Kung bakit nilo na ako ng kami yung round 1. Ticket track, siguro i-edge ko lang konti kay yung 6th round. pero yung sa performance at sa presentation, I appreciate ko yung paggamit ng effects ng
Revelio.
computer delivery para video sa tira niya para nakuha niya yung trabaho. Pero kita niyo naman kung paano hindi na lahat sinipit at hindi na naman magiging para
Accio. Wingardium Leviosa. Accio. Wingardium Leviosa.
pag sinimay ko parang timplat ko yung wet ni Hati na ba? Kaya ano ko, maraming alam. Eh, tayo naman, itsura pa lang pagkita ko. Nabuhok ng patawa, pahirapan. Sabi nga kay Poison 13, isa daw sa ipahamuga. Isang ka pala. Kaya ko nung una naman ang ba? Ang mukha mo kasi matikan. Pero hindi ka magiging Diablos kasi wala.
Incendio.
Itsura ko kayo. Si Ano Mark. Parang yung pangalan niya, pagkakaroon sa kanya. Mobile Legends yun na ako. Pagkakaroon sa kanya. Hindi ko yung gusto na rin. Pero hindi ko yung gusto na rin.
Caption your journey in stunning detail with
Imperio.
the negative shared visions from
Ibobo. Buti na lang si Sixten pamamit sa may fish tayo doon. Kaya makakakot yan eh. Iba yan. Kasi ang fish trap is the master. Ang puno. Ang ako para dito. Ang dami. Iba yan. Kasi ang fish trap is the master. Ang dami ko. Ang ako para dito para sa aking insulto. Pag ito nagbanta, makakatig ng puso. Pag ako nagbanta, makabusag sa ulo. Clover, huwag kang magmadali. Hindi mo ako masusuka. Kasi hawak ang pagkakas. Ikaw ang nagbanta. Kung parang wala kang ako. Kahit itinakot ng pangkami, para ka ng mga. Ang gagawin. May natira yung infection. Tama ka naman. Yung 6 threat na to. And we're back with another episode of Before You Buy. That show will give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. It's me, Jake Baldino, today, and we're talking about Karaagesama. This is a new third-person, somewhat weird action game from Capcom. And you guys aren't going to believe this, though. It's a new thing. It's a new IP, meaning it's not a remake, it's not a sequel, it's just a new idea. Now, while it is a new idea, it feels like a nice nod to just fun sci-fi single-player adventures from the Xbox 360 and PS3 games, while also just using current tech to have some good, rock-solid visuals and gameplay. That's probably the best way I can describe it off the bat. Pragmata is really fun. It is a simple, solid, well-made video. It is a video game-ass video game. I know I use that a lot. I didn't come up with that, but it is the best phrase here, right? It's just an old-fashioned, straight-up game adventure that I really enjoy. It didn't change me or change the world or anything. It's not the biggest thing ever. Like I said, it's really simple and almost a little familiar, but it's just a fun, well-paced adventure to play through. With all the gameplay mechanics really well thought out and designed and satisfying, and a simple character story that grew on me. Am I being a little bit generous to it because we just don't get as many games like this anymore? Probably, but hey, I'll put my bias up front, alright? So let's get into it a little more. Just so you know, I've been playing a review copy, and this footage is captured running on PC. It's also spoiler-free, aggressively spoiler-free. Capcom is pretty restrictive as well on not showing too much, so you might see a little bit of older or repeated footage here, just a heads up, but generally, the setup is that you are Q, a spaceman technician sent with his crew to do something on the moon, where humanity has a bunch of technological outposts and laboratories where they've discovered a new element that allows them to essentially 3D print anything, endlessly, and it's like an exact replica. Now, you get there, and nobody's around. What's going on? Then disaster strikes. Killer robots are everywhere. So it's up to you and one nice little girl android, nicknamed Diana, to figure out what's going on and get in contact with her. You wander gleaming sci-fi space station hallways, glowing laboratories, giant factories and mines, as well as some cooler set pieces like you've probably seen in the trailers. But the robots you fight start off a little generic, but they get cooler and crazier as you go. It's just solid sci-fi stuff from the minimalist storytelling of the bigger picture, the world building, mostly just shared through some notes and holograms, to the actual design of the weapons, the tech, the robots, the space suits. Pragmata just manages to stand out in a crowded room of similar sci-fi stuff, especially with its main two characters, which I'll get to a little bit later. Now, you control Hugh, with Diana riding on his back. He's a chunky spaceman, kind of stomping around, kind of like Isaac from Dead Space, but with added thruster maneuverability. That actually feels really smooth. You can jump and air dash and dodge and hover, and it makes getting around environments surprisingly fun with just how it feels and the feedback you get from it. But speaking of feedback, the main thing here is the third-person over-the-shoulder combat, right? You hold left trigger and you aim at enemies and you shoot at their weak points. However, most enemies are shielded, so this is where Diana comes in. Now, while aiming at enemies, an on-screen hacking minigame appears on the side. And you can kind of navigate this basic puzzle to temporarily lower enemy shields or open up their chest. Then, you Start firing and whittling one down until that window closes. Take reminiscent advance. All be ready for our break that lasts up to 12 hours. Hey guys, we're diving into Tile Survive today. Check out this smooth bullet collection. This is all really strictly, tightly put together. You need to embrace the hacking because your main weapon only has so many recharging shots, and ammo on the other bigger weapons you get are also extremely limited. So while it gets crazy on screen, it's more strategic than at this point. The minigame itself isn't just like navigating to the end to get what you want to trigger the thing. You can also pass through little optional nodes and stuff to increase damage, stun enemies, freeze them, overheat them for a finisher, and more. This was my biggest concern going in. You know, like, does this little hack enemies, shoot them for a minute, rinse and repeat thing, does that get repetitive? Thankfully, it doesn't, because the game just does like a really good job of introducing new mechanics throughout, and always kind of shaking it up or giving you a new and interesting edge. This is what I really enjoy, and what kept me hooked for so long. It's a fun little gameplay quirk on its own, but it could have remained a gimmick if it wasn't like really expanded upon. Thankfully, the game just consistently introduces new, interesting things. The hacking itself gets more complex, more dangerous, more strategic, and you can actually choose which nodes to equip and bring into battle and trigger while hacking. There are also different hacking modes to go more aggressive and stun enemies faster. There's also an auto hacking option you can unlock if you want that, but you have to sacrifice some of your ultimate attack gear, which also Diana has ultimate attack and the camera pulls in. It's pretty cool. And that just goes with combat as a whole. Like, you know, the visual flourishes, the sparks on screen, the explosions, the good visuals, because I didn't have any performance issues or anything like that. Like, all of that really combines really nicely with good, solid feeling third-person shooting. For the most part, like, one or two weapons feel a little soft. But most of the shooting, the hit feedback, the responsiveness, all of it is really good. And weapons are kind of strategically limited. They kind of encourage you to think about when to use what, and with the limited ammo and limited inventory space, it just makes for a very active combat. Two charged weapons, a weapon that snares enemies in a trap and slows them down, shotguns, pistols, rocket launchers, all with their own kind of quirks, as well as defensive options like temporary protective drones, a bubble shield, or a decoy launcher. All of this is trickled out to you over the course of the adventure, like I said, keeping things fresh, along with the cherry on top for me personally, enemy variety. Now, thanks to you new people for watching us. We always appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't, and hit the notification bell, whatever they say on YouTube. But for those of you guys who have been listening for a while, you might know I've reviewed and covered a lot of games in the last couple of years that lose steam thanks to repetitive enemies that you get tired of. I'm glad Pragmata actually does a pretty good job of giving you new things to fight, new ways to use your tools, and new ways to strategize consistently. You start out fighting slow ambling robots, and you're eventually fighting ninja robots, Metal Gears, and some grosser stuff, all while really just feeling in sync with the combat. At first, I found like hacking enemies while also trying to dodge other enemies off screen at the same time. I found it extremely difficult, but towards the end of the game, it just really clicks, and I was so in sync with zipping around, getting my timing right. Plus, you can unlock a perfect dodge that slows down time, which also really helps. But again, all this is paired with a really, really good progression system too. So the game is somewhat linear, but there are a lot of hidden areas and nooks and crannies, as well as locked away challenge rooms that you can go back and find and knock out, and they're much tougher. You can fast travel around and revisit older areas with new abilities. It's not like Metroidvania levels of cleverness or complex, but it is enough because it entices you to get more stuff. You really want to upgrade your character. That is, again, all because weapon keep just another progression system. It's just just charming. 2026, a lot of games are visually impressive. A lot of games have crazy graphics, but sometimes it's just specific levels or areas in games that just look extra good. So today we want to talk about 10 recent game levels with insane graphics. Either way, let's get started off with number 10, with Resident Evil Requiem, right at the start of the game. This is probably the single most impressive singular street that's appeared in a game in a long time, and while you're only here extremely briefly, it seriously could have just been like a 2-minute cutscene and cut entirely if they really wanted to. This segment is just like a real graphical showcase for the RE engine and how far it's come. Now, Resident Evil games have made it a tradition to start off with something bizarrely realistic. I remember the opening to Resident Evil 7, which had that like kind of real-life footage with in-game assets. The woods you walk through at the start of the game were shockingly realistic, but then the boys at Capcom really upped their game in Resident Evil 9 with this city street here. Whether it's first person as Grace or Leon running around killing zombies in it, it looks damn good either way. But the ray tracing and the ray reconstruction, which is actually an impressive piece of NVIDIA technology, it makes this incredibly dense city scenes just appear extremely crisp. I mean, there's rain, steam, different light sources all over the place, regular lights, street lights. And now down at number 1, you can't really talk about great-looking recent games without mentioning Crimson Desert. It's one of the most varied, detailed, and expansive open worlds we've seen in a long time. And that's what makes this game so intriguing. For the most part, the main missions are pretty basic. That is, until you get to Chapter 6. And suddenly, things get way more interesting. This is the Castle Siege mission, and this is where the game finally reveals what it's really capable of after spending hours kind of doing some basic tasks in the starting half. Here, no more screwing around. Now it's a full-on invasion, and this is where the game really shows off what this engine can do. The scale of the operation here is massive, like the castle towering over the valley as you approach it from the hills, with this killer draw distance. Soldiers stand in formation, archers are firing, cannons are firing in volley. There's just so much going on before you even join the battle. And it's all done in a scale that a lot of open world games aren't really capable of.
Mo solido, balagbagan.
Look, I remember the war battles from Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and they were kind of just a few guys fighting in a field. The scale and the level of detail on display here is way bigger. The entire chapter just throws everything Crimson Desert can at you at once. Giant swarms of enemies, battling tanks and burning fields, firing cannons and knocking down guard towers. This is the sort of thing that I normally think is possible in like heavily scripted games, where most of the battle going on is smoke and mirrors, but this is a full-on open world game. These vast environments are just being rendered while this is all going on. It is extremely impressive, especially in the time of day changes. I just can't help why they didn't front end the game with something this cool. It starts off so slow. But this whole mission is a way cooler introduction than the actual intro we got. But still, either way, this entire chapter is insane. It's fun, and it looks cool as hell. So those are 10 recent game areas and levels and sequences with just insane visuals and graphics. There are plenty of other examples out there. I can already think of a couple we didn't include on this list, so if you got any more, let us know in the comments. If you... Sweet. Next at number 4, Wuchang Fallen Feathers. This game kind of got passed over because it's not as visually impressive as something like Black Myth Wukong, but it's also not as mechanically satisfying as something like Kazan the First Berserker. That puts it in this weird awkward position, but it still doesn't mean that it isn't an incredibly impressive looking game. In some ways, it's actually better looking than Wukong, certainly in level design. And it's not sparing in visual flourish or detail either. The opening of the game is incredible. It shows some impressive mimicry of the natural world, but for us, I think the most insane graphics flex the game has is actually saved for the final area. The absolutely massive and grotesque bow capo. Before reaching this place, it seems like the game's wrapping up, but it's kind of like one more crazy trick up its sleeve. This labyrinthian final nightmare zone that's become twisted beyond recognition by these, corrupting forces and whatever. I forgot what actually happened in the story, but look, all that matters is that the capital is covered in a lot of nasty red stuff. It's twisted, it's alien, it's weird as hell, but it all just looks incredible. We've seen a lot of games that would wrap up the areas in flesh-covered red nightmare stuff, but this game manages to give this place a real sort of special grotesque beauty. Stuff like this giant glowing tree, or this field of red flowers, or these giant walkways made of bones and snake all over the place. This looks great, on top of also being nasty and spooky as hell. There are a couple of unique vistas with this whole one area. It's not just one thing for this place either. There's a massive ancient ruins, this bizarre bloodborne-esque plant stuff, some weird kind of alien-looking stuff, and it's just the variety and detail of it all that makes it work so well. Look, it's not the best game at any one thing, but it still manages to be pretty stunning when it wants to be.
It's this vast, magical realm where glory and peril coexist.
Next at number 7, this is another indie horror game with a tone that strikes a very different chord, but it's still a shockingly good-looking game for something that I think sells for just $18. Now at number 3, Battlefield 6 and Gibraltar. Look, the campaign isn't much to write home about, but it still manages to look very good at times. There are a lot of impressive moments of large-scale combat and destruction in the game, but I think, out of all of them, the most graphically insane is probably Gibraltar here. Right from the start, they are wowing you with an amphibious assault on the city with these rolling waves and chaos everywhere around you. Plus, the sun is shining, you got the Mediterranean beauty of the city, it is on full display, but it's all falling apart before your eyes. The level just really plays the strengths of DICE's engine here. The scale of the conflict is massive, and there is a lot of destruction, and a lot of it is caused by you.
Nag-iba yung building.
Nobody blows up a building quite like these guys at this point, and you get to see that destruction multiple times in this level. As you start on the beach, you fight through the city, you travel up into the hills through Old Town, and finally confront the bad guys in a public square. And it is all seamless. There's a ton of visual variety in all the locations. It's just an impressive achievement of a level, and probably the best in the campaign, because it actually managed to incorporate some real good Battlefield gameplay mechanics into a linear mission with all these cool set-piece moments that just make it feel natural. If only every other mission in the game could be this much fun to play and look this good, then that would be special. But at the very least, if you play any single player for Battlefield 6, check out this level. Now, number 2, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Look, the game has some disappointing elements. It's not perfect, but one thing you cannot take away from this game is how incredible the game looks in motion. is a really good-looking game in certain spots, and I think Retro Studios really deserves all the kudos for whatever magic they use to get this game to look this good and run well on the Switch. It just goes to show that you don't always need the most powerful hardware to create levels with insanely good graphics. It just takes an extremely talented studio and a good visual style to really do it. Now, the standout location here, if you played, you probably know, it's the Vault Forge. You know, you go to these other areas that are kind of barren, like, deserts, the wastes, and stuff like that, but the Vault Forge is like visual overload. I don't think there's ever really been a place that looks quite like this in these games. It's this area split between three, I guess, like cylindrical cyclopean towers. They're surrounded by a vast and endless rain and lightning storm. It's also kind of Returnal-like in its stark brutality of sci-fi design. But of course, there are a lot of like little intimate details here too, as you'd expect from a Metroid Prime game. I mean, there's got to be stuff to scan with your visor, after all. The lightning, some of the water, the overall design of this place, combined with the art design, just really create one of the more memorable locations in the entire series. It is imposing. It really has that wow factor. There's actually a little bit of the Sanctuary Fortress from Metroid Prime 2 here, but what makes this place different is just how big it all is, while also being detailed.
Introducing the new season.
What else? New Super Bowl rice with Zachary Tuna. Rice, then tuna. Set up the rice. Celebration boys. Game changer. Welcome back to Break It Down. Ngayong gabi, kasama natin ang isang buhay champ, PSP champ, undefeated, ang isa sa mga pinakapaborito kong battle MC and rap artist na rin. Ganda ng album niya, sapatan ninyo, panalo ka sa, ladies and gentlemen, we got mo for the second, or for the third time. Yes, third time na. Thank you kaya sa pagkakas. Yeah, but, kamusta? Anong mga pinagkakabalaan natin ngayon? Ngayon, ito kaya, draft ako. Ganun pa rin, mga nakaipit na draft para sa mga music. Halos ko ganun lang tapos sa buhay-buhay na araw-araw. Ganda nung ginawa nyo ni Dudista. Ito, yun pala, ganun yung para sa litas na pag-usapan. Pero, nandito siya parang yung bata na release na. Oo, na-release na. Bali dalawang practice ko. Isang dalawa lang kami tapos isang passing lang. Kasama sila ni tapos nila. Podcasting din na. Sino mo nag-reach out doon sa kanta nyo? Bali mo na kami interaction talaga sa isang ito. Kaya nagkaano na kami na nung kami na nagkita. Tapos yung nagkapalaga yung pag-narin na namin sa isa't isa yung mga kita yung kita akong tuwa na gano'n. Tapos nagkaroon ng gano'n parang once pa o hindi pa siya. Nag-message sa akin si Lewis na kayo sakto malapit na siya sa
Imperial!
Nag-message na siya agad sa akin. Pag nagtulong sa kanya niya, nag-record ka. Record niya ay makati na lang na para sa akin. Pumunta ako para hindi na rin makabala sa studio tayo. Yan ako, nagsulat na rin ako bago pumunta rin. Parang may isa lang akong verse na pinalitan ko na mismo nga bago ako pumunta rin. Kasi yung nirabang sound yung sa kanta namin na wala na. Parang hindi lang ako na parang Imbes na bumang sila pa talaga mo. Inuwi na lang ginamit ko sa
Imperial! This is almost too easy!
That was meant for me.
Incendio! Glacius!
Ganun na kasi napansin ko siya pa nagsusunod ka. Ano ba lang siya?
Incendio! Bombarda! Incendio!
Rest easy, my large friend.
Ang minsan napapansin ko nasusulat ang parang hindi na natural na. Parang sobrang sa malasin, ginamitan ng utak ka ng
Revelio!
Yun naman yung goal talaga. Sa ano naman, this year, sabi mo, di ba music, yung parang singles bawal. Ano, TV. Parang fight to get start mo namin. Ano yung inventory, hindi lang ulit kaya ulit. Panalo, sabi ko nga sarili na nalang po. Alam mo, like, low-loaded, walang guest ulit. Parang ganun ko siya ano ulit siya. O siya, ulit, walang guest. Pero may anong isa kung napupaliman, sabi yung ganun ko, kaso ngayon, parang hindi siya malusot niya sa hindi siya nasikaso.
Revelio!
Kung sakali, baka doon sa guest na sa so battle na meron ka na bang mga confirmed na dapat? Meron ko yung dapat talaga dapat. Pero hindi na lang yung pagkakatanong talaga sa kanya dapat sa ulo. O kahit may sasabi nito ng ibang tao. May tatanong natin yun. Pero yung parang nag-trailer lang hindi talaga ako. Pero dapat talaga. Salamat talaga. Nag-usap kami yung boss. Tinatanong niya ako parang sa dating nang napag-usapan namin. Parang gusto niya lang masik kung mabala na ako na nasend ko yung bali ng ako. Yung paling ako pinag-usapan. Wala pa yung ibang detalye kasi kung gusto ko sinunod ko yung paganda ko ganyan. Hindi pa naman nadaan sa mga masahal ng gano'n. Pero parang ano na ito, kailangan ko paano medyo lalata yung para sa akin yung sarili. Parang nung sinabi ng senior, pagpanood ko sa kanya sa podcast ni Sir Live.
Accio.
Feeling ko na parang gano'n sa energy niya din. Yung talagang trip. Baka parang sinasabi ko yun, mas gusto niya tumutok ka lang sa'yo. Okay, kasi, di ba? Kung mas gusto, tingnan mo yung hindi niya rin ako. Baka kasi palamasan mo yung sa akin. Average lang ko. So, yun nga, sabi niya, talaga gusto niyang totoo sa akin kaysa magpahinga. Okay, meron din siya sinasabi na may bagay silang donas. Sabi niya kasi pag-ugaman daw kami, siya yung last kanya ng bagay. So, hindi pa, parang inaano niya hindi pa sa ngayon. Siguro, hindi pa rin i-reach out si Anik sa akin about anything about ako. Pasensya na sa akin. Ayun nga din, parang ikaw ba? Ano mo? Parang mo sa, ano ba? Parang ang dami pinabasa mo kasi sa edit. Si GN, plus ito pa, kasi insight, kaya parang insight yung battery nila yun. So, ganyan, paano mo inisip? Sino yung pinaprioritize mo? Ako, talaga yun, pinaprioritize pagka sa dami kumain sa akin. Wala yung talaga ako parang saka di siya mag-ibig pagka-potential. Oo, ako may ganun eh. Hindi siya maramdaman hanggat wala pang day. Sa akin, natutuwa lang ako sa ano naman, pinaganda. Parang hindi naman ka presence mo kahit hindi ka ba. Pero hindi ka naman nag-i-import ka lang. Wala kang hindi na diba. Pero yung presence mo, parang yung nag-refresh mo. Pag-uusapan na ano. Pero natutuwa ako sa inyo. Pero hindi ako wala rin talaga ako. Parang pinatay ako. Ako sila man. Pero tingin mo, yun isang paglapadapag lang. Kung ako, mga ikaw, hindi nakapangplano niya. Sa akin, kung ano, tips mo na. Kung ano ba yung mga process mo, makikita ba? Wala. Kasi pa daw sa parang sila yung sa atin. Parang may pinag-complikasyon na sabihin. Pero paano yung expectation kasi? Parang yung masyado nang ginagawa official ng mga tao. Ayun lang ang pinakaano sa akin, yung pinakamalapit ng feeling position ko sa akin. Sige talaga.
Rebellion. Right to
CGN.
Imperial. One less human to worry about. Let's get this.
Pero kung nagdalang ka sa
Your blood's on Ranrock's hands. Revelio.
Ito, alam mo ba din issue? Ako wala ko talaga. Wala akong talent. Pinapatalit. Pero ahon for sure. Hindi, pero na, yung pasyon ko. Aabot pa lang ahon yung ano. Kaya inisip ko rin kung ano bang gandang kain kung pagkatapos ko ng pinag-aaral ko, bago mo ba
Revelio.
So, sabi na ngayon namin siya, kasi sila kung ganito ba kung ano yun, technique sa breaking down yun, pinagtumagan mo yun, nagkiraw mo yung ganun, para sa bosses, pag-aaral, kailangan yung mention ng experts advice. Kung yung laban mo ba, kailangan
I'd better light these boilers if I
tao
want to
na ba, isang tao na. Sa mata ba, kasi kung alak mo yung bagay. Nakalimutan ko na ako pagdang ako. Basta, alam ko lang na.
Where does this one lead? Off the beaten path, I suspect. I hope I can get to that.
Revelio.
Ito, bago na papalawang namin yung dami ng characters na pinahan. Hindi ko naman nagsabi na lagi na pang may controversial na decision na battle ng pwede ba? At kung ilan mo, di ba? So ito, parang sinasabi nila, isa daw to sa battle na
Another drill
parang
is
iba yung
complete.
pakiramdam daw
The
sa
Wizarding World will
yes, iba rin yung pinanood ko sa ganito sa footage.
I can end this right now. I have to destroy the drill and stop Ranrock's loyalists.
Imperio.
Patapos na. So wala, hindi ko na pero kasi usapan eh. Nangyari na. Parang may apparition eh. Nung nagpakita sa inyo. Yung nagpakarinig ko. Siyempre, narinig ko. Naka-islos ko. Kasi piniliwanan na. Kaya lumabas. Mataas masyado yung expectation. Feeling ko ganun din yun. Mas malaki yung legend niya kaysa dun sa baka yung action na nangyari, magalit iba rin talaga. Hindi rin kaya sa camera. Hindi kaya i-translate ng camera 100%. Diba? Pero yung sa anong reaction ng yun, talaga kung gano'n yung mararamdaman. Mararamdaman nyo na rin sa kahit sa footage.
Stop spraying cologne on sweat. Bust odor and smell irresistible. Get the Axe effect.
Nice! Ang sayo!
Makikita kami ng skill, may bagay na magkapareho kami sa pagiging masela sa tupahan.
Sobrang bigat kasi yung tipo mo.
Send it.
Hindi na
Places.
yung pinapisado ko, pati na rin siyempre yung accent kasi hindi na rin paganda na mabuti kasi Tagalog hindi ako sanay dito. Alas na flip yung mundo, parang feeling ko kulang pa ako. Alam ko, napakalupit ko na battle rapper pero hindi ako magpapatalo sa iyo kaya good luck sa ating dalawa. Galing mo na lang. Gagaling ako rin na. Sorry Lord. Sana mabigyan natin magandang laban.
I have to find a way to stop that drill.
Don't bother.
After this on 17, naging pa rin match points for squad. Mandaluyong, palibalaban na natin ngayong gabi. Shoutouts lahat ng mga kasama natin. Shoutouts lahat ng mga artista. Bubuong ng liga. At syempre, bumiyahe para ng napakalayo para sa event natin na to. Shoutouts sa lahat ng MCs na nagpupursige sa mga battle leagues nila. At shoutouts din sa lahat ng MCs na hindi pa napili para di sa langit lupa. Pero tuloy-tuloy pa rin sana. Set ang pag-ingay para sa parating nating laban.
I came to stop things.
What is this you've brought
Shoutouts sa mga represent collab. Real Jokes Clothing, High Minds, Crown Manila, Flip Top Gear, Tikman nyo yan, High Beat, Black Manila, Linya, Unhinged, Islam, 7-4, shoutout sa lahat ng tugang support, Alex, Panda nga pala, at bumiyahe pa, sila Doc mula Iloilo para sa event na to. Sa kanan to, galing pa, Ross City, para sa inyo, representing, Girahay Letra, at sa hiligan niya, na pinalay by Battle League. Pagkaya kailangan para ay John Delo.
You're right.
Never understand you long
Kay Boss Jorvin, kay GB sa Dubai, dito nyo, binalaybay, kagwalhal, lipas underground, basta ng tropa sa uwas.
You're wrong, Ranrock. The young ones, especially, they are taught to hide their disgust as they exploit us.
Astonishing that our ancestors ever trusted each other.
All this time, looking everywhere for the final repository, searching in vain for Bragbor's last journal.
Shoutout sa lahat na nagpapa-shoutout.
Wasting my time.
Nagpapa-official merch, COD yan, available yan online, bago through the years, kayo na sold t-shirt at
Your brother.
nanalo to ito si John Delo, pinili niya mauna si Ru. Ito na minuto dapat. Pakinggan natin muna para kayo na sold 17 lang grupo tournament. Yo, LFG!
I was bringing it to you.
Walang dalihan, pinatahimik ng buhay.
Umalpak. At sining kalinga ko. Mataas sa kitang narap, kaso di naging maagap at naging mahina ko. Wala pang nalaki, katuga mo. Umasak at silbing partida ko. Mula lupa, umabot ang langit ng ingay ko. Kaingay likha, kapitin ng pantigma. Kirahay gamit ang tinta. Tanong ilang di pa, padistansya namin ha. Di yan makalalapit sa kadang kalabit ang makaling ay tingga.
No wonder the tides are hard to reason with him.
Tigtigan, bukas lang ang hibigay. Sinubukan naming lapis kung kaya
Now to get out of this
lang,
blasted
tugas
place.
lang. Sasabihin sa amin kahit gamit itak lang. Itataga sa nagakapis sa kalahating aswang. Kasing! Talas ng datihan aking dila kaya natiktikan. At kasing! Brutal na manananggal ang dahilan. At pag-asa mong sumulong sa ating ako ang patikan. Tayo di magkasing!
I'll send word to Fig to meet me in the map chamber. He and the keepers need to know Ranrock has that journal and knows where the final repository is.
Pugot ulo nitong aswang sa aking itak ng bagong asa. Ano, di ako natatakot sa'yo. Kahit mukha ka manglalaban. Aswang na walang pangil ay mas mukha siyang gagahasa. At napakatanda na, talagang handang-handa ba? Ang napakalalalang ba't aswang nagpapatawa? Pero sa bagay, paano nga naman mananakot patong si Tatang kung rangban palang chicha na tong takot sa buhay bawang? Wala ka namang pagkakasala sa akin, Paul. Sin mo si Sir Eric. Tumawag eh. Kaso ang sagot ko, Master Paul. Tiwala siya sa akin, ako na piling magsilbing
Like page
kanyon.
out of a
Bakit nyo
storybook.
magpasabugin, buong hilig kayo nun. Pero sarili na pili. Alam ko, sa
Nice to
dami
see
ng
you again.
pahit sa
Nice to see you as
kapalapit ng
well.
kawin.
How can I help you?
Magkaisahin po. Hindi sa mukha kundi sa atake.
What do you have for sale?
Kaya siya namangha. Palakpakan. Ang susunod na bubuga ng tayo, walang yan. Kaya bago ka gusto, magbasta sa akin. At sa taas ng nilipad para makarating sa laban namin. Palakdang manalaglag, palagabag ang papalarin. Makakapag patawa pa ba sa kadang pagpalitan natin? Pagkatapos pagbaga na parang pinagpag na sa akin. Wala ba nang may natin? Sabi ko
Have I
lang sa
mentioned
araw
you're
niya,
welcome to stop by
alis na to.
anytime?
Motor daw yung lego sa dami ng itak, tangin ng itak yan, invisible. Yo, kung ganyan lang eh, na-round mo, hindi ko na iisipin. Ang pangit na round 1 mo, parang bagal ni gamegod Ditsin.
Revelio.
Taga-kabis! Kabis yung kalaban. Mali kahit battle rap fan ay alam na meron kagang angle na chismis boy. Pero for the sake na hindi masira yung material mo, partida, di ko yan i-spoil, oh lol! Nang binigay ako sa inyo, Arik, alam ko binigyan ka niya ang babala. Pero kahit sa pagkagalit, di sa paligid, lahat na yan ang magagawa.
I know how it sounds, but if this can help you, it's worth the risk. He helped find the scriptorium where we discovered Slytherin's spellbook. What? Leave? Never mind. You need to stall him. Buy us time, Anne. Please.
I shall do my best. Be done.
Walang bars, walang jokes,
Solomon
for
can't take
respeto, di
Anthony
marunong
Felton.
gumalaan silang
Where would they
sipa.
go?
Sobrang
When would I
boring
see
ng
her?
kanya, mayroon nag-uusap, nagjaga ko, nagtumatay sa CR.
Sebastian, I can't believe my uncle wants to leave Felcroft. Anne's going to stall him. She must. We need time. Time? For what? I've learned more about the relic. I cross-referenced Slytherin's spellbook with everything in the library on relics and dark sacrifices. That's when I realized something. I believe the relic will only work inside the catacomb. So we have to get Anne to the catacomb and then conduct a sacrifice. Seems risky. It'll be worth the risk. Our biggest hurdle may be convincing Ominous. Anne will only give us a chance if he's on board. And we have to keep all of us from your uncle. If he goes to the headmaster, we could be expelled. Let me handle Ominous this time. As for my uncle, he's not an aura anymore. What he doesn't know won't hurt us. Good luck, Elias. Until we meet again. I shall let you know when the four of us should meet at the catacomb. Look for my aunt.
Malinaw ako yung nakikita na Yamato. Tingin ko sa larong to, maliit na dumi sa sahig, di ako mahihirapan magkampaso. Pagkakapaparo ko medyo ang bitaw, rinig mo yung hiyaw. At posibleng totoo yung chismis, mesong sa kapit, nakakita ng dalawa yung mata kung paano ko kumain ng hilaw. Pero di na para matutuhanan ng maling akusasyon. Nandito lamang ako para pangalan ng lugar at higang pinanggalingan ay mag-iangat palalo. Kaya paano mo ba ako masasabihang aswang? Kita mo naman ako na yung kinakagat ng tao. Ganyan! Ganyan! Ang representante ng Panay
Revelio.
Hahanap sila kahit walang sabihin maganda. Bakit ang galing? Nagsasabay ang dalawang emosyon niya sa kanya na kahit pagalit ay ang lambing niya talaga. Ano yan? Galit ka na, malambing ka ba? Siguro kung ganito si Pedro sa rally, baka gobyerno pa ay sasaya. Na kahit paano pagsisigaw, walang kasong magsasampa. At speaking of sampa, pagsampa niya kanina, ako'y napabulong. Akala ko, siya'y nalulong. Kagaya ng mga old pigs sa FB ni Tanga, kaso sa personal pala, nag-addict na burong. Nakananting payaman, kaso pangay tabingin pa lang. Kasi, Pops, pag ito
I hope Professor Fig got my owl. I need to tell him and the keepers that Ranrock knows where the last repository is. Revelio.
Siguraduhin mo, mahal-halaman ka. At wag kang natataranta. Patunayan mo sa bawat banat, ikarapat-dapat ka lang makasampaw. Bakit nakatodo ba to? Kung walang yang siling, sisingilin ang bobo na to. Pero para sa trono tao, yung manokong pano, matutapos na lang ako.
This is grave news indeed. We had hoped for more time to discuss the best path forward.
Let us hear what the student has to say.
Professor, you received my owl. Ranrock has the last of Bragbor's journals. He killed Lodgok to get it. He knows where the last repository is. Lodgok and Ranrock were brothers. Lodgok was bringing the journal to me.
Ranrock is a monster. We need to know where the final repository is.
Surely this changes things. Ranrock has Bragbor's journals and knows where the final repository is.
We obliterated Bragbor. He kept journals? Why would he have documented all of this? He didn't know what we were containing.
Isadora told Bragbor about the magic when she asked him to build a container for her. I've seen her memories.
Isadora left memories for someone to find? You know what she did?
Her memories showed what she did for her father, which I also saw in Professor Rookwood's pensive, and a conversation with Bragbor in which she expressed frustration about the limits being placed on her use of ancient magic.
Based upon the memories they have seen, I believe our young friend is well aware of the grave circumstances in which we find ourselves. The next trial will involve an exceptional level of magical skill and a nuanced ability to interact with beasts. Find a face of stone and tendrils. I should advise you that you must engage with any beast that is part of the trial on your own. Professor Bakar will meet you in his pensive room.
An exceptional level of magical skill? Nuanced ability to interact with beasts?
I suppose we should begin our search for a face of stone and tendrils, whatever that may be.
Very well. Professor Lindsay
Has been keeping an eye on me. Perhaps we should meet there, so she has no reason to raise concerns with Professor Black. I shall see you near the coast. Perhaps then you can tell me a little more about the memories of this blizzard which you witnessed.
Hindi na gets kasi mahirap i-pick up yun. Alam mo anong mahirap i-pick up? Yung parcel ko. Kaya ikaw na sana mo. Alam mo yung mahirap i-pick up? Yung parcel ko. Kaya ikaw na sana mo. Ayusin mo pag nilibre ng punches mo. Sita ko yun. Dapat di ka ng rocket. Pamilyar. Pamilyar, natural, linya mo yun, tanga ka. O, linya niya yun sa liga nila na nakakuha ng malakas na crowd reaction kasi nga daw ang galing. Pero hindi ko in-expect o di ba walang lang dadating-dating? Ang aking gustong iparat... O, hindi niya yung sa liga nila
She said Sebastian promised her that I would be there if she went to meet him in the catacombs. But now
Ang aking gustong iparating ay nasipat na
to
ba?
go to the meetings,
Gusto
you have
mo
to
bang
come
sabihin
alone.
hindi na oo
She
pa
says he
maganda
doesn't
yung
sound
basura na
himself.
bara lalo't na sa flip?
Meet us at the catacomb as soon as you can. I hope that my quilts can save my sister.
Boy, boy, solo wannabe, wala ka sa inyong liga. Hindi mo yung mga tropa.
You're at
Bubuhan mo. Sino ang ginawang dumulat ng tulog? Kahit ang pag-appreciate sa sulat mo ay sinubukan na nila. Sa labang to, tawagin mo kung sing-sing. Sa tanong pag-atake, tinuruan pa kita.
Imperium!
I'll check your punch. Hope you're gonna buy some green guns.
Hindi mo itong kalaban mo. Ayos na kung ikaw dyan yung zero at malabon. Huwag kang malungkot hanggang sa dimension ko. Ito ay parallel universe. At sa lahat ng hindi sa akin naniniwala, check nyo page na topic squad. Meron dong clip at ito yung inisayang na something na hindi nyo pa nakikita.
Rebellion!
Ang ina. Ang round 3, trying hard. Pero at least trying. Mga balat na daging di makalading nakalutang sa hangin at pwede bang sabihin, Let's boss. Pinigay mo ako sa kumakatot ng puno ng saging habang kumakanta ng heaven nose. Kasi ng Pinoy, pumapalag na Bisaya. Mababa, underdog, pero people's love, timbala. Na kahit di madaling haga at yan ay di mahalimbawa sa magkagaling kaya pakina lang ng di umiyak. Dahil ano ba kaya mong gawin? Ha? Tumawag sa langit, pangit. Kaya pangit mo pakinggan. At isa kang pagitong rhymer. Sulatan man to na kahit sinong writer. Sa tono mo pa rin babalik delivery parang mali yung writer. Kaya pag pero pag ikaw, natugunan ng ulo, susunugin ka ba ng katribo mo? Bakit? Pwede na? At saka baka magbaylahin kang aswang. Oo, pwede nga. Pero kahit magbago ano at magpakahasong lobo, soplete ka. Di mo napapansin. Wala akong pinis sa'yo. Palikain lang sa kada sinto. Lumabas ang pinapit. Maingay akong lumikha. Pero mas dineto ka ba mo? Gustong bumatak muna. At ang sinde mo ay ako, bumigis na utak ng kulit, pag-iiskes mo sa bato. No! O ano pa bang iintayin? Magpauso mo. Paano nga naman iipakin? Kanina pa walang sito. So, bahagi na siya sa aking proseso. Sa puwelo ko po nito, ako'y kurang na di kontento. Ayokong huminto hanggang mapraning sa aking tundelo. Hanggang mapraning sa aking tundelo. Talagang tutulugin ko kahit ilang pisi nagsustento. Yun ay pagpupulin ko. Ano? Ano ba bang gustong madinig? Paluklukan ang pilig na mga bukas na mga antena. Nakatutok ang bibig kung tagawag ay vayo ng bandera. Pagod at nadlat na ang leg, napalutan ang ninig. Ako'y pasakos na mga repa, ako na pubulot ng tinig.
Ori.
Palakpakan niyo sa ulit, kawawa naman. Panina dahil yung accent ko. Pasensya kung di na ako'y baluktot. Pero hindi mo ako mapipigilan dito mambulabot. Oo, mahihirapan ako dito magtagalog, pero hindi ako mahihirapan dito sa Tagalog. Nung ilabas tong line-up, marami sa amin nag-underestimate. Talagang nakakakuta sagad. Ganun pa man, kumpiyansa pa rin ako kahit maraming duda pala. Dahil taga ko lang, umara parang manihag, pagka-trap, kuha agad. Gusto nyo manihan? Gusto nyo? Sige! Gayahin natin sa Facebook yung trending na latest. Game! For 5K, bring me Apex. Sagad. Ganun pa man, kung kesa pa rin ako kahit maraming duda pa lang dahil taga ko lang. Umara parang manihan, pagka-trap, kuha agad. Gusto nyo manihan? Gusto nyo? Sige! Nung trending latest game! For 5K, bring me Silang dalawa niya sintahan. Dati, pero ngayon, pinababa na. Pinira kasi natin sa itong pista. Imperial. Sa pangitip ng yung pinababa niya. Alam ko lahat tayo nangihinayang. Lalo doon sa Laseta, kasi sa isa pinakamagaling. Pero boss, wag ka naman hinayang doon. Nandito naman ako eh. Bago mong pataling.
Bombard doesn't go about stealing goblins stolen by others.
Sigurado may sisirit. Bagong disenyo ng Laseta, alam ko nakatatapay sa inyong mga isip. Sabay
Think you're clever, don't you? But you won't sneak up on me.
Places! Confirm! Bombard!
ngayon sa pagkamalimutin, dito pa inabot. Nag-reference kasi ako ng ban sa liga rin. Panghuli na linya parang silang seta, di na rin nakapasok.
Incendio! Course. Places!
Ang hinanda mo isa, yan ay aking tiniyak. Pati raptor, hindi karera, pero kita nyo naman may nasipa. Kaya iwan, para sa pagmamaneho ko na ito, doon na itong gago sa pagharugod. At sa labang ko, wala akong binitawan, linyang rock, ay rock, kaya ako yung aasip sa rurok. Akin sa rurok kaya, di na dapat pahapain, lagay mo ay alanganin, at kahit di na gumamit ng mic,
Look at my, my costume.
Bakit naman ganyan?
at sa akin na nabing-anin, hindi ako yung bagong makulit, ako yung may bagong hagotek, pag pinag
Episode 17.
Kayo pagsabihan, hirap-hirap siya eh. Sabi ko na,